Alright, hey guys, first off in advance let me apologize for all the noise in the background that's going to be in this video because my kids are here and they're playing with Christmas toys and stuff, and they don't go back to school until January 9th, but I didn't want to wait that long in order to have a quiet environment, you know, to make the video. I just want to go ahead and tell you guys about this really quick. I figured out how to make animated bezels, you know, do some kind of interesting things. So let's take a look real quick. First I'll show you like something I just kind of whipped up, and then I'll explain how I did it. And I did it with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as the concept, as the example, because the idea to animate it was already floating around in the back of my mind for years anyways, because this is one of the first bezels I ever made. And when I made it, I made two versions of this artwork you see around the sides. I made one that looked like this, and I made one where they looked kind of highlighted and glowy like this. And I said, man, wouldn't it be cool if there was some way to where when you put in a coin for like player 1, that, you know, Leo's border would light up. If you put in a coin for player 2, Mikey's border would light up, you know, and so on and so forth. Well, I figured out how to do that now. Alright, watch the coin counters at the top, and watch, I'm going to press Leonardo's coin. Notice every time I press it, he lights up. Now I'm going to press Michelangelo's coin. See, every time I'm pressing it, I'm kind of holding it sometimes just to show. If you hold, it stays on. You know, let go, tap it real quick. The one on the top right, Donatello, player 3. I'm going to put in a player 3 coin. See how it lights up? Bottom right, Raphael, player 4 coin. Okay, now the coin counter skips in 2, like 8, 10, 12, because I've put it in the dip switch, like 1 coin equals 2 or something. I don't know, the pricing options. But, you know, and you can work in multiple views. Like if I change the view all of a sudden, this is like a clear frame view, this view. But if I go to like full or full glass or something, see, it still works. Anyway, so it's all magic with the lay file, right? You know, there's all of them together, you know, and off. So let's take a look at that lay file and see how that was achieved. Alright, go into the artwork, go into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle folder. Again, sorry about the noise in the background. Alright, so here's what we have. We just have our standard bezel art to begin with as an element here. It's just this, and the center is transparent. And it's dim looking. It's not the lit up borders. See, around the borders it's got the black, you know, instead of the glowy. Alright, now if you go through, I'm just kind of pressing right on the keyboard to go through that, you know, artwork folder. See, here's an element, the Donnie element.png, where the glowy purple border. And here's an element, let's keep going, where here's a Leo with a glowy blue border, Mikey, glowy orange border, and Ralph, glowy red border. Okay, and so the rest of this stuff is just my standard kind of things I put in anyways, you know, for the different views. But the magic comes from having these 4 little separate PNG images that are the same size as these, but with glowy borders, alright? It's not a big the standard artwork is big, full, 1920 by 1080, but each one of these is small, like, you know, about 240 by 540, so they fit into the little corners. And they're not the perfect size because this is one of the first bezels I ever made, and back then I wasn't very accurate, didn't measure things properly all the time. As long as I had the screen area, the proper 1440 by 1080, so it had a good aspect ratio. My bezel art wasn't always 100%, you know, pristine as it is like these days, and I haven't bothered to try to reshape anything, but they're all basically 240 by 540. So anyways, you need to know their dimensions, because when you put them in, you have to tell the game where to place them. Like here's Raphael, place him at the X coordinate of 1680 by 539, because if you like opened up a full-fledged image in GIMP that had all the glowing variants on it, right, and you'd go to the top left corner of Raphael, you'd see down here this little counter area, it'll tell you the coordinates. So Raphael's X and Y coordinates are 1680 by 539. So in the lay file, Raphael is the small glowy little element, not the big full art, but just the only Raphael by itself little element. it lays at 1680 X coordinate, 539 Y coordinate. And that's based on a 1920 by 1080 full X and Y screen. And the width and height of the tiny little Raphael image is 240 by 541 because that's happened to be what this little Raphael image is, 240 by 541, this little PNG. So in the lay, that's an element that goes into your view, of where it should lay on the screen, how big that is, and then the name of it and how to activate it. Okay, so let's go up here in the actual elements section. Here's Raphael, default state 0, or in other words, inactive, right? Image file for the default inactive 0 state is blank.png. The reason is because I actually have this blank.png. That's this. It's just 1920 by 1080, same as on monitor, transparent, nothing. There's nothing on it. That way, when it's at rest and not animated, its default state doesn't appear to be affecting your bezel or your game in any way. Its default resting state is just a big transparent full screen image, so you wouldn't even know nothing's happening. But its activated state is ralph.png, which is not an element that's up in here. You see there's no little ralph.png in the element section. The only place it appears is in the subsection of element name titled Ralph. See, so element name Ralph, it has a state, an inactive state. Alright, and here's the inactive state, a blank.png, and here's the active state, the little Ralph PNG little image. And then it finishes with element. And you just do that for all the turtles. See how it looks pretty much the same here. And then at the bottom in your view area, you have your normal stuff here, screen, index, overlay element, screen mask, bezel element, artwork 1, that's the bezel. But then you have these control panel elements, alright? So each one, it has a name, and because it has a name, MAME will go up here and look for that name. Oh, here it is, Leo. And it sees it has a state 0 and a state 1, and it knows that state 0 is blank, nothing. State 1 is a glowy little Leo image. So coming back down to Leo again. Okay, so control panel element Leo. So it knows all that stuff. Now it knows where to place its active state, right, and inactive state. 0 by 0, which is the top left corner, and how wide and how tall the image is. Right? Other characters will have different X and Y coordinates because they're in different places on the screen, and they'll have width and heights that are just whatever they happen to be, these little elements, right? Anyways, so now for the last part, how to activate it. Input tag coins, input mask 1 is Leo's activation. So in order to figure that out, we go to MAME's config folder. I don't want this. What do I want? Let me close this for a minute. Here we go. See, in MAME you have a config folder, and then you go down to the title of the ROM, in this case tmnt.config, and this is like when you've set up all your buttons, MAME will generate this config folder. And so you come in here and okay, I want Leonardo to activate when I press coin 1, because he's player 1, coin 1, Leonardo. So you go through here and look at your button config, and you find, oh, here it is, coin 1, right? Coin 1, that's Leonardo. Well, the tag is coins in parentheses, and the mask and value are 1. So on Leo, the tag is coins, just like it says here, tag equals coins. Okay, so input tag equals coins. If it said input port tag is something different, then you put whatever that is, right? In this case it's coins. And then the input mask number is 1 because here it says that's what it is, 1. Now for player 2, Michelangelo, input tag, the port tag, input tag, same thing, just tag, look for the word tag. It also equals coins. So it's the same tag, it falls under the coins tag. But to differentiate it as player 2, you put the number 2 here, because if you look up here, coin 2 is default value 2. Now you would think that coin 3 would be 3, but it's not, it's 4. Right? Donnie, who is character 3, right? is default value 4. That's just the way MAME's looking at this. And then Raphael, who is coin 4, player 4, is default value 8. So basically they all say coins as the tag because in your config file it's all falling under the coins tag line, right? But the differentiating factor that tells you this is activating because I'm pressing coin 3, or this is activating because I'm pressing coin 1, is these numbers 1, 2, 4, and 8. And the way you look at those numbers is by coming into your config file and saying, okay, type coin 1 has a value of 1. Type coin 2 has a value of 2. Type coin 3, MAME says has a value of 4. So okay. Type coin 4 has a value of 8 according to MAME. So okay. So you put it in like that and then it knows. You know, and that's pretty much how it's done. Now this is a crude, like, I just figured out how to do this, like, so it could be a really crude way of writing the lay, and maybe I'll find a more elegant way of writing these kind of things in the future, but for now I'm just glad it works, right? You know what I mean? So I just want to make this video and kind of pass on that information so that you guys can experiment yourselves, you know, because you can do this in all kind of situations. It doesn't just have to be this particular example. Like maybe, for example, maybe you were playing oh, I don't know, Rolling Thunder, and you wanted these two little buttons, you see the yellow and the red button, and you wanted it to look like they were being pressed in real time, so that every time you press like the jump button, you'd see this little jump button get depressed. And you could do that. You could totally do that. Like, I'll probably do that in the future. And that'd be kind of neat, right? Or like, let's say you're playing Ninja Warriors. See these buttons and joysticks? Maybe you want it to where when you move your joystick, this moves. And when you press the buttons, these buttons seem to get pressed in. That'd be kind of fun, right? All kind of little examples you can do. Maybe you're playing, I don't know, let's say you're playing, let's say you're playing like Street Fighter, Hyper Street Fighter Anniversary Edition, and you select the Super Turbo variant of your character. You can set it up so that when you select the Super Turbo variant, the bezels become Super Turbo bezels. Or if you choose the Champion Edition variant, then the bezels become Champion Edition bezels, or something like that maybe. Or like if you're playing Ghouls and Ghosts, you put a coin in and the black and white gets lit up, or maybe you put a coin in and the skull's eyes light up red, or something evil, you know, I don't know, lightning bolt. Anyways, I mean, there's a lot of neat little possibilities for things that can be done. So I just wanted to make this video real quick, even though I got noisy kids in the background, just to give you guys that little update of something new that I figured out how to do. And I'll put the link to this folder under the description area of this video so you can test it yourself and look at the MAME and, you know, take your time and kind of like, you know, see what you can make of it. Now, it's not perfect. Like, see how Michelangelo's head seems to widen just a bit because I wrote the lay file as Mikey is 240 pixels wide, but when I originally made the art, I accidentally made it 239 pixels wide, so it's moving 1 pixel over to the right. Anyways, that's because I'm just rushing to show you guys this feature. I don't really care about, oh, it's got to look so perfect. I just want you guys to know, oh, cool, look at what you can do. Animated bezels. And I think this looks good enough, you know, for practical use. You didn't really have to go back and tweak it, really. You know what I mean? I think this is good. And you could do this, like I said, for different games in different ways, but how cool is that, having an animated feature to the bezel? Like in that TX1 racing game I uploaded bezel for a couple days ago, I had the animated gear shifter, so that's another way of using animated bezels. But, you know, you can do it for any game. So anyways, I think that's it for this video. Go ahead and try out, you know, mess it around with it and try out, you know, different animated bezels on your own and let me know how it goes. You know, I'll keep working on it in the future. Maybe we'll come up with some kind of cool stuff.